Welcome to the HAYVN Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by HAYVN, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the HAYVN Hubcast. I'm your host, Nancy Sheed, and today I am really excited to dive into a lot of things about how we get better and mental health and thriving and surviving with Phyllis Weihs-Yavner. Welcome, Phyllis.
Hi, Nancy. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. Phyllis is a psychotherapist, a certified career counselor, and a speaker. She works with people from, what did we talk about, Phyllis? Emerging adults to seniors.
Yep.
But their common denominator and where you sort of your sweet spot in working with them is in stages of transition, like the next chapter, the next step, or those sort of things. I want to dive deep into sort of how that became your sweet spot. But first, can you talk us way back when? I love to hear people's trajectory. Is this what you always wanted to do? Or how did you come to this discovery that this was your sweet spot?
Great question. And you know, it's so apropos because all of us come to career kind of, some of us very directed and intentional, and some of us come to career via the way of what I call happenstance. I think it's paying attention to what your early interests and likes were and being really open to how the career fairy finds you. But for me, I started out in human resources at a Wall Street bank and was assistant vice president in charge of college recruiting. And I was a generalist and doing strategy, stepped off of that to kind of go on the mommy track. And when I did that for a while, home with kids, neighbors would ask me to help their son or daughter prepare for college. So I would help write essays or I would help them do mock interviews. So when I was facing my own transition, when I was getting divorced and I needed to kind of look ahead in terms of career and other things in my life, I was like, well, the thing I really like the best is sort of, you know, this world of recruiting and employment, but I don't want to work for a bank. I would love to kind of work back in the higher ed. So I got a master's at the time in something called college student personnel, which would set me up to work in a college placement center to work with employers and to help kids write resumes and do what I love. Well, one day I happened upon a class and it was a counseling class that was required. And the professor took me inside and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You need to be a counselor." And I said, "Oh, no, don't want to do that." And she said, oh, yes. And she really convinced me that I needed to seriously consider switching my major into clinical mental health. Took a few more classes. She offered me an internship at Fairfield University in their college counseling center, and I fell in love.
Wow. I mean, I'm still stuck in the fact that there was tell it the degree, college placement. What was the
College student personnel.
College student personnel. Never knew that was it. Okay. But you didn't do it. Thankfully for the world.
I actually finished that. And then I had to go back and do another year of the counseling clinical requirements.
Got it.
And so then I did that. And then very fortunately, or I don't know, maybe that was the universe, a job opened at Fairfield U and this woman hired me and I became a college counselor. And within very quickly, I became her assistant director.
Nice.
So I worked there for many years doing all kinds of outreach workshops, crisis management, some pretty heavy stuff happens at college campuses. And then sadly, I had a medical issue that kind of made me rethink sort of that. And I decided to kind of, again, reinvent myself and just start my own private practice where I could have a little bit more flexibility. And I did. And so I've been in Darien for 7 years and I have a very thriving practice. And I'm the mental health consultant of Post 53.
Wonderful. Lucky them, lucky us.
I do a lot of work with them in terms of crisis management and leadership training. And then I work at the Holly Pond School. I'm their mental health consultant, and I work at HAYVN and do workshops, and I'm super happy. So that's my...
Wow. Well, we're sitting here in the beginnings of 2023, and we look back at last year and we look back at COVID, right? And so, I mean, transition, we all are in some sort of state of transition. But if we think through the lens of the great resignation or quiet quitting or loud quitting, or even, at this point now we're hearing, layoffs, or there's a recession coming, right? Like, what are some of the things, Phyllis, that have been evolving for you and your clients, or advice that's evolving for you and your clients, or what you're seeing kind of in the post-pandemic? We need more mental health as part of the conversation, psychological safety, right? Culture, work culture is important. There's a whole lot right there. I mean, we could have 10 episodes, but what's the world looking like from your purview or through the lens of your clients?
I would say, particularly for my clients in the workforce, I see tsunamis of change happening in corporate America. A lot of the sacred cows, I think, are gone.
Mm.
And that has to do with not only early job seekers, entry level, but also at the other end, which means that I'm seeing an inordinate amount of approaching retirement age, but not quite. People who spent their entire careers suddenly being let go, which is something that's happening in droves. No one's really talking about it. And then on the other hand, a huge high turnover for the young adults who are entering the workforce, where job security is a myth.
Mm.
So what I'm seeing is that a lot of fear, a lack of security, which then psychologically increases a lot of anxiety and anxiousness and fear.
Mm. And we talked about in your introduction that you are a licensed psychotherapist and you're a certified career counselor. So you hold this very special balance of the clinical training as well as the kind of the pragmatic, tactical advice you can share with somebody. I would assume there's a little bit of a chicken and an egg here, right? Like, does one come first? Does one come second? Do you work in tandem along these rails? What does that look like?
Well, it's funny. In my practice, I have two sort of routes. Someone can come in for just clearly a career counseling package where I can do everything from giving them certain not even psychological assessments, but career assessments, personality traits. And then we kind of build, who are you in terms of personality? Who are you in terms of a worker? Who are you in terms of your likes and interests? And then we do lots of reporting. We do a lot of data, and then we kind of map it out. So we can just simply focus on the tactical, where we just sort of look at resume building, cover letter building, networking, job search, and we can just do the tactical stuff. And if I find that there is some mental health issues that are in the way, I am able to just sort of stop and say, hey, I'm noticing. And then, I'm noticing this seems to be coming up for you. And whether it's me or someone else can work with this person to kind of manage and strategize the mental health issues, because they can get in the way of performing on an interview. They can get in the way of pushing the button to press send on a letter because there's so much anxiety. So on the other hand, if someone just comes in and just is looking for some support in terms of mental health support, and while we're working together, we discuss job is a stressor and boss is a stressor and 24/7 life work balance is a stressor, then we begin to kind of pull apart, staying in our lane, strategies around managing ourselves in the workplace, but then our own strategies of reducing our stress, reducing our anxiety, perhaps boosting mood if we need to refer to psychiatry for some medicine or other support. So I can kind of do it all depending how someone wants to come in to work with me.
I sort of love that, the Venn diagram of that. And I'm kind of reflecting on you're working with people and then what you're seeing, this sort of tsunamis of change in corporate. It feels like, if we were to read the papers, right, like that corporate is being forced to change, they seem a little bit behind where they need to be, given what, this sort of extremely fierce vocal outcry of burnout, depression, anxiety, loneliness, not feeling safe at work, right? Like, what is it? I'm really diving deep here. What does it look like when somebody comes in and their workplace isn't changing, or they feel called to sort of help make workplace change? Or are you sort of like taking care of the person and telling them what to look out for or ask for? But maybe it also is the transition's already happened. I mean, I just feel like there's so many different tension points. Are they getting to you where they've just decided they've got to get on with it?
Well, I think the first thing is to take the temperature, meaning can they, a couple of assessments, meaning taking the temperature, meaning, what's your financial situation like? What's your relationship situation like? What's your living situation like? We kind of have to look at what is working, what isn't working, and can we make change based on those parameters? I think it's a tactical, practical approach to saying, I hate my job. I hate my job. I can't sleep. I can't sleep. Okay, well then, can we afford to make a change? What situation are we in? If we determine that, is this a job I sought out? Is this something I just sort of picked because I was scared? It really depends, but my approach is to kind of look to see what can be changed and what can't be changed, and then work within that.
I love that. I'm just trying to, I'm thinking of people listening and if they were putting themselves in a situation of like, oh, she has no idea, or, oh, I can't deal with my boss, or, oh, I hate my job, or, oh, layoffs are coming, right? Like all the things that go through your brain when you're thinking about it. Phyllis, you talked about the early or emerging adults. Their lives look very different than ours did when you and I are still emerging, of course, but but their lives look very different than ours did when we were emerging adults. There's a good and bad, right? Like there's so much overwhelm. There's so many choices. There's so much noise where they're coming out of a pandemic, right? Like we didn't have that. So how do you, again, kind of, as you said, figure out what their lane is?
Oh, good. Lane is one of my favorite metaphors. When I'm working with someone is, helping them stay in their lane. What is yours? What isn't yours? Setting boundaries. We all talk about the B word. I would say that for this generation, I think what we don't appreciate is, maybe I'm being generous, Nancy, but I feel like you and I are of the same sort of generation, that we had a little bit more freedom. There wasn't as much pressure to specialize and focus so early. So that allowed us to build up interests in a lot of other avenues so that we could be a little flexible. We could try different things. We didn't have to focus and specialize by age 5 so that we could eventually, be recruited for a sport or a talent. Those formative years are so important. And sadly, this generation was really deprived of that. And those are such formative years to develop self-identity, so that when those things get taken away from them or they're not offered to them, and life, what they thought would be like, isn't providing for it, there really is sort of an emptiness and a void that really is challenging. And so our work as practitioners is to help everyone sort of find their special sauce, their secret, their magic, so that they can feel really good about themselves and what they have to offer the world. And it may not look like what others want them to, to become. And it's really helping them have a felt sense of inner knowing that this is who they are and what's their path. And I think this generation was robbed of that ability to focus on their inner knowing, that there was too many structures and their path was so laid out for them that they really didn't have many opportunities. And I think as they get older and as they get into the workforce and as their lives change, they are really struggling with who they are and what they want.
I love that. I haven't thought of it that way, but that's so helpful. And do you think that the sort of fear of failure, or that failure isn't okay and you can't learn from that, and it's not okay to try things, just going back to that specialty, like it was okay for all of us to be generalists for a little while. And it's, and you could try things and be like, oh, that was terrible. And I think we also we also personally had a tolerance for, I'll try it. If it sucks, we'll figure it out. But that tolerance is also not here. And we didn't have the comparison. We didn't have the compare to despair that I find that
100%.
Kids are like, oh, a guy in my dorm room, left college and launched $1 million startup. I'm like, how can you hold yourself up to that standard? That's not the norm.
Well, sadly, what I didn't mention, which is sort of behind all of this, obviously social media, which was a component that was not at all prevalent in our lives. And it is, we know as clinicians, the more time someone spends on social media, the more depressed they become. We see it. We have an instant correlation in the world today. It's something we can't ignore. And so we curate our lives and we can't really just live them, with free abandon. We just can't live them like that anymore. And that's very disrupting.
And adding to the anxiety.
It does.
At all levels. Well, we're going to get on a lighter note. Phyllis, we're here because of HAYVN, and you've already sort of shared with us what a wonderful contributor you are to the community, and I know HAYVN is one of those. How has HAYVN impacted you or your business, and I always like to ask, how are you part of the HAYVN community and involved in the HAYVN community?
Well, several ways. One is I joined the Wellness Professional Mastermind, which was a fabulous group, actually during COVID. And that was a real lifeline for many of us. And that helped me kind of learn more about being a business owner and an entrepreneur and meeting other like-minded women and learning from each other. It allowed me to find and network with others to help me build a website and help me sort of expand my practice, which was invaluable. I've been a speaker invited to speak on, many occasions from several different groups, from the newly divorced sort of smart, savvy women group to the Connecticut Entrepreneur Women's Group as well. I've done just general sort of career focus, power of positive thinking, mind mapping, just sort of fun little workshops to get people sort of engaged and interested and sort of on their way. And it's been I don't think I'd be where I am today without HAYVN. I'll say that.
Oh, I couldn't have written that better myself. What a great plug. But that was also a wonderful teaser, I think, for our listeners to hear kind of what great entry points for you and your expertise, which leads me to ask, Phyllis, if people want to connect with you or engage with you or learn more or work with you, what's the best way for them to reach you? You
can go on my website, which I love.
It's gorgeous. Please go. It's
really beautiful. It's PhyllisYavner.com. And you can subscribe to my Rainy Day Reframe Toolkit, which gives you some really great tips on how to weather storms throughout your life. And then you can email me that way, or you can be Phyllis@PhyllisYavner.com. Email me directly, and I'd love to see and explore if there's ways that I can help anyone who's interested.
Fantastic. Phyllis, thank you so much for your time today. I am leaving a little refreshed from your calm demeanor, and the world is going to be okay, and we just need a few reframes. So you've made my day better already. So thank you for your time and sharing with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the HAYVN Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. HAYVN is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. HAYVN is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the HAYVN community online at hayvn.com. That's HAYVN.com. HAYVN Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.